Love this podcast? Support this show through the Acast supporter feature. It's up to you how much you give, and there's no regular commitment. Just click the link in the show description to support now.
Strictly for the culture. Brothers and sisters, you have seen the t-shirts, the hats, the hoodies, the mugs in the hands of some of your favorite pro wrestling stars, podcasters, and influencers out there. And now it's time. Visit strictlyfortheculture.ca and you too can be part of the movement. Bigger than sweatshirts and commercial success, Strictly for the Culture aims to build with like-minded people and elevate their position in the world through knowledge, self-love, and a desire to unite. So what are you waiting on? Visit strictlyfortheculture.ca. Do it for the love. Do it for the knowledge. Most importantly, folks, do it strictly for the culture.
You're locked in.
Look at what we have here, folks.
To the only show that matters.
The cream of the crop.
Duke Loves Rasslin.
And there is no one that does it better than
your host.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
The Duke.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Brothers and sisters, welcome back to a special edition of the Duke Loves Rasslin podcast. It is the episode you all have been waiting for, the update on soft ground wrestling. Is it still a scam? It sure is. And folks, we have so many specifics that are going to be covered here. First-hand accounts, okay? I've had folks who wanted to remain anonymous, and I have one individual in particular who was more than happy to be quoted. And that's what we're going to do here. Now, full disclosure, I want to make something clear, folks. Soft Ground Wrestling, this is that organization in Uganda that has taken the world by storm. You know, folks are very happy and excited to see wrestling fans putting on wrestling moves, you know, these amazing displays of athleticism, the spirit and the joy that comes along with being a wrestling fan. You can see it in these performers. I don't call them wrestlers. They're performers. They're pretending to be wrestlers, but they're not trained properly, so I'm not going to call them wrestlers. But these performers, their joy is infectious, which is why they went viral. So I want to make it clear. In no way, shape, or form am I blaming the performers. My heart goes out to them. I hope they're safe. In reality, I'm actually advocating for them. I feel like they should be fairly compensated for all the hard work that they're doing. I also feel that they need to be properly trained. And thus far, despite any visitors that have been to soft ground wrestling, these folks are not trained. You can see it. You can see it in what they're doing. They're going to hurt themselves. And in fact, some actually have had injuries. But nonetheless, I want to make it clear again. I feel like these are innocent bystanders, these performers. Now, the person who owns and operates soft ground wrestling and all of the different accounts that receive money from folks who want to donate to soft ground wrestling, that's one Bumbash Daniel. I want to make it abundantly clear, based on the research that I have gathered, based on first-hand accounts, based on what we've seen, Bumbash Daniel is a scam artist. And he is a highly sophisticated, highly effective scam artist. The fact that he was able to get a high school kid in Pennsylvania, United States of America, to organize a GoFundMe and help raise over $10,000 US, and then got that kid to somehow, some way, find a way to get that $10,000 plus to Uganda into the bank account of Bumbash Daniel. And they were strangers, didn't even know each other. This kid had no connection whatsoever to Uganda. The fact that Boom Bash Daniel was able to do that, that's a skilled, sophisticated, and dare I say, dangerous scam artist. So for those of you out there who say this guy's an idiot and yada, no, he's not an idiot. He's highly intelligent and highly effective, and it's unfortunate he's not using his skills for legal means. Nonetheless, we believe in fairness. We believe in strengthening the wrestling community around the world, and certainly we've covered that on this show for over 8 years here on Duke Loves Rasslin. And it's for that reason that I'm not going to let up on this. I am on you, Boombash Daniel. I'm going to shut you down. I'm going to take you down. And in all honesty, I'm not even going to stop until you're put in handcuffs and you're held accountable legally. Okay, that's my mission. I'm not done with you. I don't care if soft ground wrestling never receives another dime. That's not the end goal for me, pal. That's just part of the process. I want you where you belong. Okay? You're going to have your day in court and you're going to be held accountable legally. I think you're a scam artist. I think you're a fake tough guy. You've been threatening people. We're going to get into some of those threats and what have you. For all we know, folks, this guy could be some kind of warlord or what have you. This is not good stuff. And it's unfortunate that those of us who want to give and want to support and want to foster a positive wrestling environment, it's unfortunate that many have opened up their wallets, their hard-earned money, and given to these folks. And it's only going to one scam artist who's been misappropriating all those funds. And to all you wrestlers out there who've been warned about this, shame on you for continuing to support this nonsense. We're going to get into all of it. So, there's no way on God's green earth that I could do any of this by myself. I have an amazing group of individuals who have been monitoring this situation, keeping me informed. They have been speaking to people, encouraging them to reach out to me, and so many have. Many of them asked me to keep their names under wrap, which I will. But shout out to the team that's helped put this together. This is not a one-man show. And certainly, for this episode, this follow-up episode, there was no way I was going to do this without my main man who has been at the forefront of this, who has put in so much time and effort because he wants the truth out there and because he cares about these young people being exploited in soft ground wrestling. I'm talking about the one, the only, the pride of New England himself, Mr. Danny G. How you doing there, Danny G?
I'm doing good, Duke. How are you?
I am doing great, my man. And I got to tell you, there's no way I could have done this without you. It's important if we're going to do a follow-up on this soft ground wrestling and give our listeners an update. I got to have Danny G here because you have been at the very forefront of this issue, seeking out the facts and wanting to get the facts out to the world.
100%. It's like I think when we talked the last time, like I said, I was a click away from donating. I really was. I was ready. I was like, oh, wow, this is really cool. This reminds me of what me and my friends did when we were growing up, having fun, wrestling, pretending to be wrestlers, obviously untrained, but just having a grand old time doing what we liked. And I just, I threw it by you and, willy-dilly, just like, hey, what do you think of this, bud? I think I'm going to give $50 or whatever. And you said, hold the phone here, Danny G. Let's look into this real quick. And within, I think, 10 minutes, we just both, as a mutual decision, decided that there was a better way to spend $50.
Yeah, it was clear that these folks, they were doing things that they were making claims that aren't possible, such as GoFundMe money can go directly to folks in Uganda. That's just not true. PayPal, it's connected to their PayPal so they can get the money from the PayPal. Completely not true. There were so many twists and turns that amounted to lies. How many times did they say that the land that soft ground wrestling takes place on is rented out for the rest of the year or that they bought the land? How many times do they say the ring has been purchased and it's on its way? How many times do they make all of these claims that turned out to be absolute complete lies?
I've kind of lost count, to be completely honest with you. It's been numerous times. It's been numerous times.
Yeah. So we're going to do something a little interesting here, a little different here, folks. I have compiled some information that Lord White, of all people, Lord White has supplied me with, and he wants to be quoted. So certainly you're going to hear it. In fact, Danny G is going to be reading off explicit quotes from Lord White on soft ground wrestling. Now, Lord White is the most well-known, recognized soft ground wrestler performer. Lord White is a person that they promoted the most because he was able to get the most reaction out of people. So the fact that a person who is that deeply ingrained in the soft ground wrestling would want the truth to come out, it's fascinating. Now, full disclosure, and Danny G can back me up on this, we have not minced any words about Lord White. We do not support the racist and homophobic language that this individual has used. We do not support the storyline of being some type of colonizer that they were doing there. And in fact, Lord White was pretty upset with me and told me flat out that they don't like me because of some of the things that I've said about them. And it's ironic, Danny G, I want to get your take on this, because he said, despite the fact that they don't like me, and they don't like the fact that we've pointed out that the racism and the homophobic words and all that stuff is not acceptable. Lord White then turned around and said, but you're not a hack like a lot of these other guys. It's clear that you want the truth to come out, which is why I'm reaching out to you. What's your take on that, Danny G?
My take on that is sometimes I think when people get involved in things, they get involved for one thing. And in Lord White's case, obviously, I think he was trying to get himself, some online, presence, trying to, in a sense, almost be famous, I guess is the way I would. And, he was, getting involved with soft ground wrestling to the point where he thought maybe that was his way in. I mean, I'm sure he's a wrestling fan. I'm sure he enjoys wrestling like the rest of us do. So, he probably had this character cooked up. Maybe it's been something since he was a young kid that he's always wanted to do. So this was a way for him to get himself out there. And, despite, the things that you just talked about, the racism, the homophobic tweets and stuff like that, sometimes when people get in a situation, maybe they see things a little bit differently. And maybe he started to see soft ground wrestling for what we do. Or maybe after reading something that one of us posted or whatever, he started to be like, you know what, maybe there is something to this. And maybe he decided to do a little bit of research looking into it himself. And despite what type of person maybe that we think he is, I mean, we don't know him, but what type of person that he kind of comes across as, maybe he even saw it as like, this isn't right. There's something bad going on here. There are people being exploited that shouldn't be, and they're being exploited, and the person exploiting them is making large amounts of money, claiming to be putting it back into this organization, and it's not being put back into the organization. And he probably started looking into it and realized, all right, this isn't something I think I or anybody else should be a part of any longer.
Well said. Well said. And look, the motivation could be as simple as maybe Lord White wasn't given a cut of whatever Boom Bash Daniel was taking in, and maybe that's where the hard feelings come. Okay, if you're not going to give me a cut of the action, then why am I supporting you? I'm going to expose you. Or maybe this Lord White, the real person behind that silly persona, and it is silly in my opinion, maybe they actually, like you said, they see the exploitation going on, and they just don't want to be part of that because they feel bad for the people being exploited. Lord White said that actually to me directly, that the performers, don't blame them. They're good people. They don't deserve to be treated the way that Boom Bash Daniel is treating them. So I just want to put that out there. We're going to get specific now, folks. We're going to get specific, and I'm going to start with a retraction. The last time Danny G and I covered this soft ground wrestling issue, we pointed out the fact that there was an article from 2016 which mentioned soft ground wrestling and the whole story and what have you. And Lord White took issue with that. Lord White did some research and found some information and challenged me on it. So let's start with number one here, Danny G. What did Lord White have to say about the 2016 article?
This whole Kuwait 2016 thing is a simple Wayback Machine search would have proven that was an error by the website hosting it.
So Lord White is claiming that the website where that article was posted, there was just some kind of issue, glitch, what have you, where it put the wrong date on the article. But Soft Ground Wrestling, according to Lord White, has not been around since 2016. Now, I did do a Wayback Machine, and to Lord White's credit, there is some discrepancy there. So because of that, I completely retract any statement about this being a hustle that's been going on since 2016. I don't have enough information to stand behind that. Despite the fact that there is one reference out there, that's not enough for me based on, new information. So I'm going to say I don't know when this hustle started. Okay, so that's a big retraction. And to Lord White's credit, he was pretty adamant about, and you always preach credibility. Well, be credible about this. And I think he's right. I mean, what's your take on that, Denny?
Honestly, I don't know what a Wayback Machine thing is, to be honest with you. I've never taken the time to actually try to do that. I'll agree with you that you're right. We don't technically have the information, so retracting it is good. With that being said, I do have two separate links showing that one article was written, I believe it was on March 12th, 2024, and another article that was written that every time I click on it and it opens up, it dates back to June of 2016. So my only thing is, if that's not a real article, why doesn't it just get deleted?
I mean, that's a fair question, and I guess that's up to whoever is hosting the article, if they even exist anymore. You know what I mean? Websites come and go. But Wayback Machine is basically an internet archive. So when you post something online, a lot of times it'll get, it's like a snapshot of it for archival purposes. So you can actually go and research and verify when something was originally posted, if it was posted and made public. And there's a discrepancy there. So I don't know. It's not important enough for me to hold on to. You know what I mean?
I found that by a simple Google search. It was just a Google search,
but it's not. And it's not important enough to hold on to. Yeah, it's not important enough to hold on to, though. If we can't verify it, it's fine, because that website, it's not like it's a main reputable website that we would know about anyway. You know what I mean? So that's why. So Lord White, you challenged me on it. This is me accepting your challenge and deferring and saying, yep, we don't have enough information to determine when this hustle began. So we'll just say that inconclusive for now. So we'll leave it there. Now, let's go to number 2 here. Bumbash Wrestling Academy is real. That's the claim here. It's an actual real entity. And in fact, what did Lord White specifically say about that, Danny G?
The wrestling school is real. The talent is crazy, and in capitals, talented, for what they're able to pull off on pretty much zero budget prior to all of this attention. And some credit to that does go to Boombosh for managing that.
All right, so this is interesting here, Denny. The wrestling school, the wrestling academy that this guy runs, a guy who has zero wrestling experience, talent, the fact that this guy runs a wrestling school where he thinks he can train people on how to be wrestlers, it's an actual thing. Now, is it registered as an educational organization or a nonprofit organization? No, but it's a thing that exists. There's paperwork and everything that it is at least a business. What's your take on that, Danny?
I mean, if it's a business, I feel like we would be able to find some information on it. Maybe, we don't know how things are. I don't personally know how things are done in Uganda, but generally a business is registered. So you can definitely, find it. Same thing with a nonprofit or a charitable organization. You generally can find the information that you would need on it. So, I mean, I don't really know. And personally, I don't give the guy any credit for anything. You're taking people, you're teaching them something that you don't even know how to do yourself. So I don't give him any credit for managing anything personally, because I think this is just proof that it's a scam to me. I mean, I come from the restaurant industry numerous times. I can't tell you how many people that never worked in the restaurant industry decide they're going to open up a restaurant because they think everybody can do it. And you know what? You can't. So, I mean, and generally I've seen people lose a lot investing in something like that in their livelihood. So what's happening there? I'm sorry, I don't give credit to managing anything. Who knows what he's doing? What he was doing with the performers beforehand, before getting all of these donations. How he was getting them there, how he was keeping them there. So I don't. How he managed it, to me, is very questionable.
Well said. Well said. And in fact, I think we're going to get there. It's funny that you say that. Let's go to number 3. I asked the question, what happened to the original $10,000 that was raised through GoFundMe? So remember, folks, we had this high school kid named Jake who put up a GoFundMe, and this individual was based in the United States of America, had no prior connection to Uganda or soft ground wrestling individuals, Boom Bash Daniel, anything. Jake was able to raise that money, and eventually the money did get to Boom Bash Daniel in Uganda. What happened to it? How was that money spent? Can anyone account for that money? Here's what Lord White had to say about that.
Now, that's a great fucking question. No clue. Tried to find out, failed. I'm sure you've seen the original GoFundMe by Jake where there's an update on what it's been spent on. I think it said something like training equipment, venue equipment, etc. I've never seen anything like that.
Never seen training equipment. Never seen venue equipment. And it makes sense that you would never see it, because where would they house any of this? They don't have a venue. They don't have a gym. They didn't make a gym. And folks, this is not somebody from the outside saying this. Lord White is legitimately the most recognizable, most well-known person affiliated with soft ground wrestling. He's the biggest performer that they have. The fact that Lord White says, I've never seen any of this training or gym equipment that Boom Bash Daniel claims he used the money to purchase. I don't know, Danny G, what's your take on that?
We've never seen it either. I mean, the only quote unquote training that we've seen of the videos that they've posted are, a group of people all being power bombed on their heads on the ground, guys climbing trees, race day at soft ground, and Boom Bash Daniel doing a backflip off of a bench. We've never seen any videos of weights. We've never seen any videos of actual in-ring training, how to take a bump, how to deliver specific moves so that your guy is protected and doesn't get hurt. We've never seen any of that. So I'm gonna have to say that pretty much what Lord White is saying here is the truth.
It's hard not to believe it, because if it existed, why aren't there any videos? Why aren't there any photos? Multiples. So we see over time that this stuff is actually real. It exists. It's there. Oh, there it is. You know what I mean? Nothing at all. So that made me wonder, folks. That made me wonder, well, that's a lot of money, $10,000 that's come in. If it wasn't spent on training equipment, surely it's spent on paying the performers, because they're the reason why this has gone viral. They're the reason why people donated money, right? So I asked the question. And we're on number 4 here. Does Boom Bash Daniel pay the soft ground wrestling talent? And specifically, Lord White, did you ever get paid? And here is Lord White's response.
Nope. Most I've gotten was Arthur refunding some of my travel costs. Only money I've made from this is via Twitch subs, cameo type videos. Other way around for SGW wrestlers. They have to pay to attend to the school/training. Found out recently that he's still making them pay for food despite some being bought with the donation funds.
This is something that Danny G was able to pick up on previously. The soft ground wrestling performers actually pay to be part of soft ground wrestling, despite the fact that Boom Bash Daniel has received over $10,000 from a GoFundMe, despite the fact that another $25,000 from Mason Mansour was raised, and he's been receiving some of those funds. That's 35,000 US dollars in Uganda, right? And those are just the GoFundMes that we know about. There are others that exist, folks, and we'll get into that a little later. Despite all of that, Boom Bash Daniel hasn't given the performers a dime. In fact, he's been charging them to be part of soft ground wrestling. What's your take on that, Danny?
Well, yeah, he is charging them because that's in the YouTube video when the introduction to soft ground wrestling, which you could find on YouTube. Second of all, we know where the food is being bought from because there was that video that was released where people started questioning about the original GoFundMe money. And he had one of his performers, I believe she's one of the ring announcers, talk about how they were building an office and a store for soft ground wrestling, where the exact quotes, and you can actually read them on the bottom of the YouTube video. So he's obviously selling some of that food that was donated to them out of the store. So obviously, no, the wrestlers are not being performed, and who knows what else they're being asked to do instead of being paid to do these things and to get training. Are they construction? Are they building the store, or what are they doing? That to me is very questionable, and frankly, it's sad.
I didn't even think about that. That's a great point, Danny G. There are other types of labor that Boom Bash Daniel is getting out of these folks without having to pay them. He's exploiting them. He's exploiting them. That's it.
100%.
He's exploiting them.
100%.
So, number 5 here, I had to ask Lord White, do the soft ground wrestling performers have real jobs? I mean, how can they afford to pay Boom Bash Daniel? Now, the reason why I asked this question this way, folks, is because the way that this has been characterized to pull on the heartstrings of everyone who's donated money to this sham, this complete sham. The way that it's been characterized is, look at these poor Africans. They have nothing. They don't have beds to sleep on. They can't afford to live anywhere that's reputable. They don't have food to eat. All they want is to wrestle. And we're going to build a wrestling organization so that we can finally give them an opportunity to start making a living for themselves. And we need you, people with money, to send the money so we can buy a ring and we can rent the land and we can get food and we can finally give these poor Africans, these poor Ugandans, something, because they're so poor and they're so unfortunate they have nothing. This is the nonsense that has been peddled about this subject. And I've questioned it, and Danny G has questioned it from day one, because if you know anything about the continent of Africa, if you know anything about Uganda, then you know that this is not a standard for everybody. Yes, there's poverty. Yes, there's underdeveloped areas. That's everywhere in the world. Every state in the United States has that problem too, somewhere. Nonetheless, for the most part, it's not as dire as the way that these snakes in the grass have made it seem. So I had to ask the question, if the soft ground wrestling performers are paying Boom Bash Daniel to be a part of soft ground wrestling, does that mean they have jobs? Danny G, Number 5 here. Please let me know what Lord White's response was to my question.
Some have other jobs, but the job market here in Uganda isn't great. A lot of people work very long hours for very little money. I know some people have stopped going / don't turn up for weeks because they can't afford it anymore. By the way, I've lived in Uganda for years at this point, so I'm well versed on how this country / culture works.
I mean, Danny, he's qualifying why he can say what he says. Not only is he has firsthand knowledge because he's part of soft ground wrestling, but he's lived in Uganda for years, so he understands how the economy and the society works as a whole there. What's your take? I mean, do you believe him? Do you think that some of these folks actually do have jobs and they're working long hours and then they're giving Boombash Daniel, or as he likes to call himself, what did he say? They call me Papa. Is Papa taking all the money?
Yeah, I do think some of them have jobs. I believe that the people that you're seeing regularly on their videos probably have the better jobs, so they're able to go more. And one thing that I picked up out of this is I figured that they pay to go to the school. I figured that was like, the one-time fee. Kind of makes it sound like Lord White is saying that they have to pay every time that they go, which I didn't really understand. And another thing, you talked about the exploitations. The main way they exploit these performers is by saying that they're orphans. I mean, who doesn't feel bad for an orphan? Everybody does. You always, you feel bad. You think, oh my God, the parents have died. They've left, the child alone. He's an orphan. And that makes me question, why are they orphans? How did they become orphans? I mean, we know that the government of Uganda openly admits to not supporting LGBTQ lifestyles. So were these people unfortunately killed for that, or were they killed for other reasons? So I think that to me is disgusting, and it's just exploits it's just a way to make people feel bad and think that you got to help us because of this. These children are here because they had no other place to go, and I took them in.
He's the savior. Papa, Boombash Daniel, he's the savior of them. This is who he is. He takes in the orphans. Folks, I sent a correspondence to the regulatory authority in Uganda and their State Department and our State Department, inquiring about the name and the validity of the quote-unquote orphanage. I provided the exact location that Boombash Daniel claims soft ground wrestling is at, gave names and dates and links, and there was no way to not identify who these folks are. Provided all the information. It is not an orphanage at all. Being an orphan is a legal term. It's defined, including in Uganda. The individuals that you see there, folks, these are mostly adults. They cannot refer to themselves legally as orphans. It's not children. That's another thing that's very important to note. These are not children for the most part that you see performing. So what the hell is really going on here? Number 6, I asked Lord White, because, I did pick up on this as well, why haven't you been involved in soft ground wrestling lately? They've been putting out videos and what have you, but you haven't been in them over the past couple of weeks here. And Lord White's response at number 6 is,
if you're wondering why I haven't really been seen lately doing stuff with them, it's because I've been more looking into what's happening with the recent donations. That's where I'm finding some of this dodgy shit.
Dodgy indeed. When you ask Boombash Daniel, how are you spending the money? His response never makes sense. You can't say the ring is on the way and then it never shows up, and then you got to beg Cody Rhodes to buy you a ring. You can't say the ring is on the way and then you got to beg Drew McIntyre for the ring. It either is or it isn't. Well, we had to pay taxes on it. Well, Jesus, you got over $35,000 US. Come on. How bad could the taxes be? I mean, Danny, am I missing something here on that?
No, not at all. And honestly, I actually think it's closer to 45,000 overall due to other GoFundMe's that have been set up. And who knows what else he has the donation link right on the YouTube page that you can just go and donate. It gives you the number that you can donate. So who knows what else they've been getting from just random people in general. And we know there's another GoFundMe going out right now so they can get internet set up. So yeah, no, you're not missing anything, my friend.
Oh, and Boom Bash Daniel, I know you're listening. I know you're listening. I shut that internet thing down, buddy. That little internet scam that you thought you're gonna pull, I already reached out to you people. I shut that down. You're not getting that internet, Boom Bash. Over $35,000 has already come to you. You can pay for internet. You can afford it. So why are you begging people to raise internet funds for you? I shut that down. I shut that down. Boom Bash Daniel, I'm telling you, brother, you have my word. I am all over you on this. You have scammed the entire community. You're exploiting those unsuspecting folks out there as well. Brother, I will not rest until you're in cuffs and until you have your day in court. I am all over you, bro. There is nowhere you can go. There is nowhere you can hide. There is nothing you can do. You can't change your appearance. Nothing. Can't go to another country. I'm on you, bro. You have no idea who I've spoken to in your government. You have no idea who I've spoken to in your organization. This is just the tip of the iceberg, man. I am going to use you as the greatest example in the history of this wrestling community. This is why you have to check the credentials and the facts, and you don't just push it along like the goofballs at Fightful and some of these other organizations who gave these folks press and did not an iota of due diligence, did not check anything, did not question the fact that you're using some kid that you don't even know to do international banking for you. Those folks and their loose morals, they can go that way. We're going to do a little differently over here. Number 7, I asked Lord White, well, wait a second, man. You're making all these claims, but what about the receipts? I mean, I've seen receipts. Boom Bash Daniel has put receipts online. So how can you say you can't account for the money? You don't know what he's doing with the money when the man has posted receipts. And at number 7, Lord White responded with,
The receipts are faked, some of them anyway. I wouldn't blame Eminem for this because this is the kind of thing you would only really notice if you know a lot about Uganda, like I do.
And it continues. Well, what about the mattresses and those receipts?
150,000 per mattresses. Seems reasonable, right? Then they post a video receiving the mattresses. I circled the hand because I was trying to work out how thick the mattresses were. Guessing about 4 inches, because he can grip it. And there's a typical price list of mattresses in Uganda. 2020 prices, but they wouldn't have gone up too much. So basically, Boom Bash bought the cheapest mattresses he could find and pocketed the rest of the money. Yeah, that's my assumption. I'm not even sure 100 mattresses were even delivered. Ever since I first informed Eminem, they've stopped sending donation funds until we've been able to get a proper handle on what's going on. But basically, everything within the Eminem stuff has some sort of irregularities connected to it.
It is irregular. What's going on with the 35,000? Boom Bash Daniel posted a receipt for mattresses. He claimed he purchased 100 mattresses. So Lord White sent me the screenshot of the post claiming they purchased the mattresses. He sent me a screenshot of people holding the mattresses. And he's right. The person in the photo was able to grip the mattress pretty easily. So, if you go into your room right now, folks, try to grip your mattress. You probably have a mattress that's at least 18 inches thick, or at least it was when you purchased it. But measure up to 4 inches. From the bottom of the mattress up to 4 inches. See where your hand rests. Now go a little higher than that. Go to 6 inches. Go to 8 inches. How easily can you grip that? Right? So that's why Lord White was able to deduce it's got to be about a 4-inch mattress. And looking at it, it looks like a crib mattress. It looks like the lowest level bunk bed mattress you would ever see. Does not look like something that an adult should be sleeping on. As such, how much could that possibly cost? There's no way they spent all that money on those cheap knockoff mattresses that they were putting on display, acting as if he did something. I mean, Danny, listen, I sold mattresses as a kid. I know a little something about it. I was certified. I know the whole 9 yards. Pillows, mattresses, sheets, the whole 9 yards there. I know a little something about a little something. I can tell you, he did not spend all that money on those knockoff crib, bunk bed, low-level mattresses. Danny G, what's your take?
Those mattresses look like, those egg crates that you put over your mattress, to kind of make it more comfortable as your mattress starts to get older.
Mattress pad, yeah. Mattress pad, yeah.
That's what they look like. So my take on all this is obviously, we saw the mattresses and everything. We know that, what Lord White is stating here, I think is pretty accurate. My take on all of this is now that, we've started to talk about some of the more well-known people that have gone over to Uganda to try to help them. And my take on all of that is you're as much of a scumbag as Boombosh Daniel is, because Mansour, Madden, whatever the guy, Tate Mayfair's from England, you're not doing this out of the kindness of your heart because you want to help the performers over there. You're trying to latch on to an internet, something internet that went viral, so you can try to get yourself a little bit more exposure so that you can maybe get yourself back into one of the top 2 programs in top 2 companies in America. And that's exactly what ended up happening with Eminem, because they were just doing indie shows, no real good indie shows, and managed to get themselves now onto Ring of Honor and onto AEW. You're not going there out of the kindness of your heart to help these people. You were going over there for your own personal benefit. So maybe by getting money raised and you're able to send it over there, maybe that's somewhat of a bonus out of it. But I'm not looking the other way on that. My personal opinion is, like I said, they're as much of a scumbag as Boombosh Daniel is in all of this.
I tend to lean your way on this one, Danny G, and I'll say why. I reached out to Mace, and I gave him information. Now, when I spoke to him, yeah, he's a local guy, so we have a connection, and I gave him some information. Said, look, this looks like a scam. Be careful. I understand that if you're over there, your safety may be in jeopardy, so it's not like you can blow the whistle, but just be careful. And he told me, he was like, man, when I get back in the States, I'm going to reach out to you. I didn't know, and et cetera. So it's like, okay, take the man at his word. They did their fundraiser that raised over $35,000 after he and I had that initial conversation. So it really makes me scratch my head. Why would you continue to foster this? Now, some of you out there have stated, well, those guys were over there, so they would know, and they got a chance to see the conditions. So, here's an inside scoop for you. Mace and Mansour were not even at Soft Ground Wrestling 24 hours. They had some flight issues. First of all, it's very difficult to get into Uganda from the United States. It's a level 3 travel destination. You can't just go there. There's a lot you have to go through in order to get there if you're going directly from the United States. So they were there. They visited for a couple of hours, and then they were gone. That's the truth of the extent of their visit. They had no time to really do any due diligence. They're just taking people's word for it and hope they don't get kidnapped. But the fact that they wanted all the fame and the prestige of being white knights, they go over there to go help the poor Africans. Meanwhile, you could tell something ain't right. It's disgraceful. And I have no respect for either one of those guys. It's just the truth of it. Number 9, because you brought up the name Tate Mayfair's, who is another wrestler from the UK this time. And Tate set up his own GoFundMe. I asked Lord Wright, number 9 here, what happened with the money Tate Mayfair's was raising. And what was the response?
A few days ago, Tate asked me if he could send some of the funds he's raised. I really didn't want to take it for obvious reasons, but basically, I'm the only option. Example, the person who's been honest from the start about what's going on, basically trying to try and find items for SGW within Uganda to avoid import/delivery fees from stuff sent, and maybe get a few people there trained in first aid, because they have nobody. Anyway, long story short, Boombosh finally cottoned on to the fact that he's full of shit and went fucking ballistic, using someone at SGW's phone to make thinly veiled threats at me, confirmed by someone else there saying he was going through her phone and was going to try and get me through it.
Boombash Daniel has been thugging and bugging. He's been acting like a tough guy, like an enforcer. He thinks he's Luca Brasi. But the only difference is he's the one threatening people to sleep with the fishes. Boombash Daniel has been telling people that something very special is coming their way. And folks, it is not positive the way that he's saying it to them, because he's saying it to people that he has a problem with who are exposing him, including Lord White. But Lord White's not the only person that I've seen these messages from Boombash Daniel making these threats. In fact, and I want to get your take on this, Danny G, I was told that the kid Jake, who did the initial GoFundMe that raised the initial $10,000, I was told that Boombash Daniel was getting so upset that it was taking so long to get the money from the United States to Uganda, to Boombash, because you can't just send money to Uganda, by the way, folks. It doesn't work like that. Again, this is not a nation that is on the good guy list for us, so our government is going to scrutinize everything. It's very difficult to just transfer money over there. You got to go through things. So Boombash Daniel recorded a video and instructed the soft ground wrestlers to say that Jake is scamming and that he stole all the money and that they didn't get it because Jake kept it. So Boombash Daniel told Jake if he didn't find a way to get that money to him as soon as possible, that he was going to expose Jake and let the whole world know that he stole the money. Danny G, these are the tactics that Boombash Daniel has been utilizing here. He's been threatening everybody. He's going to do things to them, including the kid here in the United States. What's your take on that?
Well, this is where I get a little bit angry, Duke, because as you know, I've got a lot of kids, and I have a young child myself, right about the same age as Jake. And from the beginning, I honestly feel like Jake was trying to help. He was a young kid. I know a lot of young kids kind of latch onto things and, get into it. I actually thought maybe it was like a school project or something he had to do. And it was a good way for him to, do a charitable project. And I get angry because I don't like the way Jake acted towards people online. But I really do think he was trying to help. And he got in over his head. He didn't know where to turn. And that scumbag tried to exploit him and basically threaten him. Which, to the point, is, if you all don't know, Jake has seemed to have completely disappeared. His regular account has been suspended, and he can't use that. I'm sure he has a burner, and he sees what's going on, but he's keeping quiet. And this was a young wrestling fan, and it's sad because I really do think he was trying to help. I don't like the way he went about it. I don't think it was the right way to go about it. I think he ran out of options, and I think he personally got scared, and he got in over his head. And I think this bully, this scumbag Boombash Daniel, exploited that to get money and that angers me.
I hear you, and I agree with you here, Danny G. I think that, I give a lot of grace on this. This is a child, doesn't have a fully developed brain. This is why I said even the last time we recorded about this, the adults failed him. Where is this kid's parents, and why didn't they shut this down from the beginning? What the hell was going on with these folks who interviewed him, like the folks at Fightful? Why didn't they shut this down from the beginning? Why did they encourage this type of nonsense? This poor kid didn't know what the hell he was getting into, and he found out real quick. And the few interactions that I had with him, he was cussing me out and carrying on, but he kept asking me, what am I doing that's illegal? How is this a scam? What's and I gave him some information. Hey, you can't do GoFundMe in Uganda. Hey, there's no PayPal that you can do from the United States to Uganda. This is not. So the kid was getting the information. And Danny G, you were peppering the whole community with the information. I know the kid saw that, lashed out at you over it as well. He's a kid. I'm going to give him a pass on that. He doesn't know any better. The adults, like Harmony, who is the adult that was listed on the GoFundMe, I have no respect. I have no respect for whoever that person is. You should have protected your child away from this kind of nonsense, because they got scammed. They got taken advantage of. They got threatened by some goofball, some skilled goofball all the way in Uganda, threatening your kid because the kid got in over their head. It's disgraceful. Everyone failed that kid. Everyone connected to that failed that kid. Let's move on to number 10 here. I asked a simple question. What about the t-shirt money? Right? Soft Ground Wrestling has this For Your Wear t-shirt connection with Blue Magic, who's been on the show before. Hi, Blue. I sent Blue a message in the beginning, and I said, you don't want to get into this, bro. It looks like a scam. And Blue proceeded because he's a goofball. He sees dollar signs. He figures he can make a quick buck off of this. It's going to be interesting to hear what Blue has to say, and it's going to be interesting to see how reputable his company is after the dust settles on this. Blue Magic has been called out for stealing people's t-shirt designs. Blue Magic utilizes photos that he doesn't own and doesn't have permission to use. He's done it before. He's had to take merchandise down before. So this is not a reputable business person, in my opinion. And this is just further proof in that. So Blue Magic says, so I said to Lord White, what about the t-shirt money? And number 10 here, Lord White had a response.
It doesn't get any cut of the profits.
Zero. What's your take, Danny G?
Well, I mean, I think we talked about this before. Shame on For Your Wear for even getting involved in this, for one. Second thing to shame on him for is, why wouldn't you vet that? Why wouldn't you say, hey, I'll happily make t-shirts for you, but I want to make sure that this money is going towards the people who are going to be on the t-shirts. They should get the royalties from this. And third, shame on anybody who bought a t-shirt from them thinking that they're supporting something well, because there's been enough information out there at this point now where you're not supporting something legitimate. Folks,
it gets worse. They need money to rent the land because the big bad landowner that they do the soft ground wrestling on, they're trying to kick them off the land. We need to raise money to keep the land so we can continue to perform, as if they couldn't throw themselves in dirt anywhere else. Right? So I asked, number 11 here, what about renting the land? And here's what Lord White had to say.
I know he wants the last part of the M&M funds to pay Mr. Silas, and that's in quotations, for the land. But nobody can even confirm if this guy exists.
Nobody can even confirm if there is a Mr. Silas, the landowner. In fact, I've had multiple people say to me they believe that Boom Bash actually owns the land. Can you believe that? Can you believe that this guy makes up this story about how they need all these funds to pay for the land and pay to rent the land? Now, they claim that they have the land rented for the next year, and then I saw a post for the next 2 years. In fact, Jake, there was one of the last posts that Jake made. But yet we're back where they're saying, no, we have to buy the land now. He's not going to let us do anything. We have to buy the land. Buy the land? You're going to be landowners now? You can't buy a building? You got to buy land? No, number 12. What about the charity work? It's a question I asked Lord White, because there was a big post about a charity and how Soft Ground Wrestling was donating goods to children, underprivileged children, because suddenly they can afford to donate to somebody else, right? I thought they were the poor, unsuspecting folks that needed help. Suddenly they can give help to other people, right? Number 12 here. What did Lord White have to say about that?
100% lie. I traced this image back to an event that was held the year before. Nova Talent did that charity work.
An organization called Nova Talent, and they went on X, on Twitter, and they stated that a photo that Soft Ground Wrestling had up claiming that they were doing charity work, that photo actually belongs to Nova. They're the ones doing the charity work. They're the ones that are in the photo. That photo was stolen and reposted. Why would you take a photo of somebody else doing work and claim that that's you and your crew doing the work? Folks, that alone is the biggest glaring piece of the puzzle. Trying to pass off that you're doing charity work that you've never done. Now, in that charity photo, there's a van. I want to get your take on this, Danny G. Boom Bash Daniel is claiming that that's the van that Mansoor's mother gave money so Soft Ground Wrestling could get a van. I don't know what the hell they need a van for. So they can tour. Tour what? So they can tour. Okay. So she gives money for them to purchase a van. Boom Bash Daniel posts a receipt that shows that he purchased a van, and there's the price, there's identifying information, there's even a license plate for the van. So Boom Bash Daniel has a van, right? He then posts that photo claiming that they used the van to go drop off goods for kids. But it's Nova's photo, and it's an old photo. It's from a year ago. And in the photo, the van in the photo, you could see the license plate. And guess what, folks? The license plate number on that van in the photo is not the license plate number that's on the receipt that Boom Bash Daniel posted online. This guy is a skilled scammer in some ways and a terrible scammer in another way. And thank God, because we got him. Danny G, what's your take?
You just said what I was kind of thinking. Like he's obviously very smart that he can contrive all of this, but he's also very, very dumb at the same time. Like I honestly think he's one of those people who always thinks that he's the smartest person in the room, no matter what he's doing. And those people tend to not be the smartest people in the room overall, because they don't just have general common sense, and they don't tend to just think things through. So I find that I find it funny. And I mean, every time he posts, he's always quoting the Mansoor's shoot mom. I mean, come on, use the word real life mom if you want to do that. You know, it's just, yeah. I don't even know. I mean,
it's crazy.
It's disgusting. And I've said it numerous times before. This is just a whole sad, disgusting scenario.
And what bothers me about it, Danny, is that he's still trying to keep it going, and he's starting to threaten people because he's being exposed.
Yep.
You know, Lord White, and I'm going to direct everyone, go check out his social media. He's been posting on 4chan and all this other stuff. I think he's going to end up doing a live stream, going into even more detail about what he has been able to uncover about how this is a scam. Now, this is a person on the inside. They would know, right? We wanted to do an episode with Lord White on here, but the internet out there in Uganda is terrible. So we kept running into some challenges there. But again, he said, hey, here's everything that I have to say. You can quote me on it, put it on your show. I don't care. So kudos to Lord White for providing the information. I still don't agree with the character. I don't agree with the posts, especially the language. I've told them that directly, and they've told me what they thought of me. He's not a big fan of me either. But if we're going to expose the truth, then we can partner on this together and do it. And certainly that's the case here. Danny, I wonder, after reviewing all of this, does it change your perception on whether or not Boom Bash Daniel is running a scam with this Soft Ground Wrestling? I mean, do you feel that maybe we got it wrong the first time?
That's rhetorical, Duke. Of course not. No, all this has done is I feel like we, between you and me, and I mean, I know I've helped send some information over to you, because we're both busy people during the day, but you've actually been able to do the more detailed legwork on the stuff. So, and all's we've done this entire way is prove more and more what an absolute sham this entire thing is, and it's very, very sad.
It's sad. It's sad, absolutely. And again, my heart goes out to everyone. First of all, the performers in Uganda, the soft ground wrestling performers. You're not wrestlers. I'm going to say it again. None of you are wrestlers. Until you have been trained at a reputable school over a period of time, you are not wrestlers. Don't ever lie to yourselves, and anyone who's told you that you are, they're a liar. You're not. It's a real thing. It requires education. It requires doing things safely. And the only way that's going to happen is to be trained by somebody who knows what they're doing. And it doesn't happen because you got some coach popping in for a day or two. It doesn't work like that. There are people on TV today who are the absolute drizzling you-know-what because they're not trained properly. And they've been at it for years. What makes you think you throwing each other around in the dirt is going to make you a wrestler? Just because I can boil a pot of water, that doesn't make me a chef. Give me a break. Nonetheless, these are innocent bystanders here. I think the people who've donated money, most of them are innocent bystanders here. I think the wrestlers who've tried to latch on to this and get famous off of it, shame on you, as Danny G said earlier. But overall, Boombash Daniel is a skilled scam artist who, unfortunately, is out of control, and we got to do something about this. And I want to get your take on this, Danny G. Do you think this is going to hurt the opportunity for others who are legitimate? Do you think this is going to hurt their chances of raising money in the future?
Yeah, I definitely do. I do, because you can't, if you're going to do it, don't be this ridiculously dumb about it like they are. But it's definitely going to question, I would imagine that, your guys like, your Will Ospreays, who was out there, openly donating thousands of dollars to this, conveniently now they post a video about saying blah, 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 Will Ospreay will never, ever, ever come to soft ground wrestling, even though he had said he wouldn't mind going there, because obviously he finally took the time to look into it and say, yeah, I can't be involved in this. I'll just, I'll lose the money and whatever. So I definitely think that because they've had so many well-known people support them, that once this comes out, these well-known people who have plenty of money, so it's not like they have to worry about, getting their money back. They're not going to miss the money, but they are definitely going to say, you know what? I'm not going to help out people. Like, I'm not going to help out organizations anymore. I'm not going to do it because I tried to do it, and look what happened. It turned out that I was just supporting somebody's personal interest. And who knows where this money is actually going, I mean, we've looked into Boombash Daniel enough to see, he's got other businesses, whether it was a DJ business or, the article that we read says he was a trained land surveyor. So who knows what else he's able to do. It's just, to me, it's just very, very sad, because this could have been a very good feel-good story, and the whole trying to get a ring and all that was ridiculous. That's not what soft ground wrestling is. It's backyard wrestling outside in the mud, and they should just have kept that identity and run with it. And now they're, he's even coming out saying, should we get a ring, or should we just, keep the way soft ground always is? No, you raise money for a ring. You were given money for a ring. You need to get yourself a ring. We are never, ever, ever going to see a ring, Duke.
Unless he builds it, which I'm surprised he hasn't done that yet. I would have expected him to build a makeshift ring and then claim he spent $10,000 on that. I would have respected the hustle a little bit more if he'd done that.
Yeah,
joke,
exactly.
Complete joke. Duke Loves Rasslin at Gmail, Twitter, Facebook, right? Let me know what you think, folks. Listen, I am not here to act as if I'm some big shot, high and mighty, whatever. It's not about that, man. I just, anyone who's listened to the show through the years, you know who I am. I care about the truth. I care about being fair. I do not like when people take advantage of people. It bothers me. I think we got a very serious situation in Uganda. We have some individuals, some young people who are being taken advantage of, being exploited. And I am concerned. There was one person who originally was going to do the interview, and then they got scared because they were threatened by Boombosh Daniel. And they were afraid of what could happen to them if they appeared on the show. So this is serious. And I give credit to Lord White for being brave enough to do it nonetheless, where other people were scared into not doing it. So stay tuned, folks. We'll definitely do an update as more develops. But the final verdict is, yes, soft ground wrestling is a scam. It always has been a scam. It has not changed. It's only gotten worse. Boombosh Daniel is the number one culprit. The performers, 100% innocent. Anyway, Danny G, you got anything to plug?
Nope. Just, you know where to find me on Twitter. It's at Wicked Smart. Big, love coming on Duke Loves Rasslin all the time. This wasn't, exactly a fun episode to do, but this was a great conversation as always. Nothing else really going on. A lot of good things happen in wrestling right now. Great to talk. I love chatting with people on Twitter. I'm not going to block you. I'm not going to, tell you, question you, if you come at me, I'm just going to basically point out the fact that you don't know me as a person. You don't know anything about me. We kind of pride ourselves, Duke, on, what we see online about people aren't exactly necessarily the person that they are. So I enjoy the conversation. I've got to know some really nice people. And I mean, let's face it, Duke, that's how we got to know each other.
That's right. That's right. And ironically, you're exactly who you say you are. I'm exactly who I say I am. Imagine that. Authenticity. You know what I mean? And that's the problem with a lot of these individuals. If you're looking to take advantage of people and be nefarious, then we don't have the stomach for you. Simple as that. And I'm just going to close with this. There are a lot of folks who pass themselves off as media who are culpable on this. You took this story and ran with it. You put it out in front of your audience, convinced people to donate to this cause, but you never did the due diligence. And I don't care, people don't have to like me and people don't have to feel anything positive about me. That doesn't matter. But these are the facts, man. You did not do your due diligence, because if you did, then why did you continue to push this? You lack basic ethics in the space, yet you want to call yourselves media. And I know one of the big knocks out there is, well, this one's not media trained. What do they know? You're not a real journalist. Folks, there's a lot you just don't know about me. I won my first award in media when I was 13 years old. When I was 13 years old, it was bestowed upon me because of the excellent work that my peers and I did. We were honored at a convention at NYU on alternative media. We were featured guests. All the biggest media houses around at the time had representatives there, and we were featured guests. Not the only ones, but we were, for a day we were. I'm media trained. You'd be amazed at some of the folks who had helped instill the understanding of what media is, how to utilize it, and what not to do at a young age. I went in a different direction professionally, but it's always been here. So coming back and doing this show, dusting off those skills, yeah, this is actually something that I'm adequately trained in how to do. And you can tell by the content and the way that I go about things. People are always surprised. But it's because I was shown the right way at a young age, and I've stuck to those sensibilities, which is exactly why I'm on all of your asses on this. And I don't even swear on this show too often. I'm on your ass. Boombosh Daniel, I'm on your ass, bro. What you're doing is wrong. And those who have aided and abetted you in this endeavor, I'm on their ass too. Went viral last week on something else with Devon and the Duke, but the message is still the same. That's what we do here. And I respect everyone who has contributed to this process. We're not done yet. Danny G, you are the man. I appreciate and respect you and thank you for all of your help. Couldn't have done it without you. And you listening, thank you. Continue to spread the word. so no one else gets taken advantage of. So, without further ado, be kind to yourselves, be kind to others. Stay away from these scam artists. Take it away, Tony Schiavone.
Mr. Tony Schiavone, and we're desperately out of time on Duke Loves Rasslin.